Now we will be discussing Coulomb's law. Coulomb's law, this was given by Charles Augustine Coulomb, who had his degree in engineering. Later he joined in military services as an engineer. He was given so many assignments and he decided to research on pure physics, some problems of pure physics, and he was trying to derive the amount of force between two charges, and he did this with torsional pendulums and some spheres. Now this is the known mathematical form in modern day vector notations. We have two charges, q1 and q2. q1 is called the source charge, q2 is called the test charge. Now these are point charges. They are separated in space by a distance capital R. We want to find out the influence of one charge on the other. So here, as I am taking this q1 as my source charge, so I'll be writing the expression for F2. Now this F2 is directed along this R, so I have written this in R. This is the unit vector ranging from q1 to q2. If I want to take q2 as my source charge and q1 as my test charge, then I will write F1, and then this would be minus in R cap. This is a constant. I will discuss in some afterwards. There are some points which I need to discuss about this wonderful law. Now from this law we knew that what are charges, and it was for the first time said that charge is a fundamental property like mass. But mass is of one type, but charge are of two flavors. One is positive and other is negative. And measure of charge, amount of charge in a particular charged object is measured in Coulomb. This is experimentally measured value of electronic charge, and this is the smallest free charge available for measurement. And whenever we want to write some amount of charge of a charged object, I have to write as a multiple of E, as an integral multiple of E. Suppose there are I have an object which has 10 times the charge of an electron, then for that particular object I need to write its charge as 10e, and likewise I need to write as 20e, 30e, etc. To make 1 Coulomb I need to have 6.25 into 10 to the power 18, which is a very big number of electrons, to have just 1 Coulomb of charge. And during a lightning we are able to collect only 10 to 20 Coulomb. Now this point charge is an idealization actually, because Coulomb observed that if I have a distributed sphere and that sphere is charged, then the influence given by the entire sphere is something like as if all the charges are concentrated at the center of the sphere. So here the separation distance between the charges are so much that we may consider this as concentrated at the center. Just like if we have two masses and the gravitational pull, when we calculate the gravitational pull between the two masses, we consider, suppose we want to consider the gravitational pull of Sun and Earth. So we do not take into account the mass distribution of Earth, or we do not take into account the mass distribution of the Sun. also. We just take into account that all the masses are as if concentrated at the center of the sun, and all the masses are as if concentrated on the center of the earth, and these two masses at the center, they are exerting a gravitational pull of m1 m2 by r square, of magnitude m1 m2 by r square on one another. And point charge is just like that, so it's a kind of idealization. It is an idealization actually. In various problem we encounter charge distribution, like charges are distributed along the length, along a line, like this. Sometimes we find charges distributed on the surface. Suppose I have this copy, and the surface of this copy, it has some charge distribution on it. So we can consider that that the charges are distributed on the surface. This copy also has a volume, so there is a charge distribution inside a volume in space. So we have line distribution of charge, we have surface distribution of charge, and we have volume distribution of charge. And these are the quantities what we need to take into consideration when the charge distributions are like line charge or surface charge or volume charge. This is something like these are actually treated as a continuous function, this distribution. We know that these charges are actually discrete. Like if we look into the flow of water on a tap, from a tap, I know that the molecules of water are extremely separated from each other. Atoms of water are extremely separated from each other. But when we see the flow of water, we see the flow of water and we consider that as a continuous flow. Likewise, here we consider charge flows in a continuous manner.